What's up, guys? I hope you all had a fantastic Labor Day. I actually labored away, so it was a busy weekend. We had a lot going on. Actually, using the holiday weekend to get a bunch of stuff done around the house is really what I did and what needed to be done. So I haven't made a lot of progress on anything else yet, but I've got some things to show you. I'm running out of time today too. On the upside, that Dodge Power Wagon that I picked up, that is already gone. It sold in like 48 hours. So it's off to a new home. Really excited about that. I think that's pretty cool. We'll have some more updates this week. I kind of wanted to tell you a little bit more about that knocking noise that was in the 2015 Wrangler Sport that we had. I think we've got that all situated, and lucky we didn't end up having any cam issues, so that was cool too. And we have a new 2015 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Sahara that we just got in, and I'm pretty excited about that. It's got a few upgrades here and there, but just kind of cruising along, getting stuff done as I normally do. Today, I wanted to take a few minutes to share this with you. We are going to start digging into the Durango. I know I mentioned that on the last video too, and it's time. So I haven't had a chance yet this week with a short week and everything else going on for the holiday weekend, but I do have a bunch of stuff I wanted to show you. So one of the things I've already talked about is these stock manifolds. And while these seem like they would work, they really don't serve the purpose that I need them to, primarily because, number one, our slave cylinder is going to go here for the clutch, but also the angle of them doesn't really work where we want it to. It points down too far. The thing that I contemplated with these was to cut them, move it, re-weld it, and kind of re-angle it. It just seems like a pain in the neck. I mean, I guess particularly just because it's really thick through that area. It just isn't the easiest thing to weld, and it probably wouldn't turn out real clean. That, and I'd really like some aftermarket headers. The other thing that I had picked up was all this tube. It's a header kit. It came from Speedway Motors. You know, it's got the collectors, it's got the tubes. They're mandrel bent, they're pre-bent so that you can kind of create what you want out of that. And in all reality, what I considered with that, let's get this little guy out of the way. What I considered doing there, and it is kind of hard to tell without actually being here and seeing it, but I was going to run the headers off, straight off the block, and then down here on the outside of the frame rail, and almost have just kind of a straight header to a drop down right there. But my thought on that is I don't want to do all that work and then find out that the tire, when it's turned all the way to the left and is angled in here, that it's going to rub the header. I already know that it clears everything else here, the body mount that I've built, the frame itself, the link bar, it clears all of that. So the last thing I want to do is shove a header in there and find out that it rubbed. That, and I kind of want something that's not right there and constantly noisy. I would like something that goes a little bit towards the back and dumps out farther in the back, just so it's not right in front of me. I am going to use this more as a race buggy, and that's kind of primarily what it's going to be for. I'd like to have the exhaust still cruising towards the back a little bit, and dumping out probably towards the rear cross member. So what we picked up was this set of S10 LS swap hooker headers. While these are also cast, they are huge and they're beefy. They have a 2.5 inch exhaust outlet. They're just burly, they weigh a lot, and they seem to fit perfectly. So the difference with these two is that the angle at the end, it's more facing outwards, so we should be able to use these to then direct the exhaust towards the back, and then I don't have to piece together the mandrel bent stuff that I bought. I don't have to chop and cut the stock manifolds. These should work great. They should hold up really well for what we want, and I think I found a really good solution. So I'm going to try to test fit those. We'll do that here in a minute, but first I wanted to show you some of the other stuff we got because it's pretty sweet. So I'm going to run you through a few things. So Busted Knuckle, big thanks to those guys. They were a huge help. They obviously build rad buggies that are way out of my price range. So, but we did hit them up. I have seen Jake talking about the Hydro Boost brake kit, and we gave them a call and picked that up. So Hydro Boost is definitely something that's super helpful to have, and it's something that I wanted to be sure I was running on the buggy. Obviously right now, the way that this sits, we have no brake system on it, so it's not like I'm adapting a stock brake system to work for what we're doing. Rather, we're starting everything from scratch. We're also running a 5-speed NV 4500. So while I picked up the Hydro Boost brake kit, the Busted Knuckle builds, I also had them send me a brand new Willwood clutch pedal and master cylinder. We did a low car gas pedal, some of the same stuff they run in the buggies. And then also we need to tackle the steering setup. So they sent me a Longacre steering wheel that they run in all of their buggies, as well as the disconnect that they use. So really excited about that. So in addition to the steering, we already have our Howe dual steering ram, but we need to finish hooking up the rest of that. So we need to get the reservoir in line, the cooler, the orbital box, all of those things. That's some of the stuff that needs to get set up. We also picked up a short shift kit. This is actually just straight off eBay, and I shouldn't say it's a short shift kit. It is a short shifter. It's not going to have any change in the throw of the transmission, but it is a shorter shifter because the one that comes on the NV 4500 factory is pretty long in length, and we needed something that would be easy to operate and have a close sports car like throw, or at least be a little bit more accessible and not have a big long, you know, shifter like we're in my Dodge truck. So really what we're talking about is getting the exhaust set up so that I can find the path through the floor of where the exhaust is going to be run, so that we can then get the floor laid down and then get all of the driver's accessories mounted. So we need to be able to locate where we're going to put the pedals, where we're going to put the master cylinders, where everything is going to go for the steering, and that's a big part of the next steps to getting this thing running. So that's what we're going to focus on. We have some motor upgrades as well. We're waiting on a few things right now, but in addition to the headers, we have a new 92mm Holley Sniper EFI throttle body. There's some other goodies from Holley on the way as well, and I will share that when we have them. But right now, a couple of those things are on back order, so we're just waiting on them. Doesn't really mean much. We can get going on everything else we have anyways, so super excited about that. I think the only other little thing that needs to be done is I need to change out the wheel studs. I, in my head, wasn't thinking about it properly. I'm running two GM 14-bolt axles, right? But the front axle is built with Chevy outers, Reed Racing knuckles, and a Chevy hub. Thinking it's all Chevy components and a Chevy 14-bolt, I use the Chevy studs off of my rear axle. However, it's a Dana 60 stud, so I pressed them all into the front knuckles, or the hubs. I pressed them all into the hubs, and when I put the wheels on, they work just fine. And for whatever reason, when I took them off the last time, the wheels, the studs kind of fell inside of the hub. So that was interesting, and I realized that although they kind of pressed in gently, and I used an actual press to push them in, they weren't as set as what they are in the rear axle. These were the factory studs off the GM 14-bolt originally, but they don't work in a Chevy Dana 16 knuckle. So I picked up some new studs. Not a big task, but little things. Those have to go back into the front axle and get taken care of. So that's really the next steps. We need to get through all of these components on the front end. We need to get the floor in real quick today because I'm running out of time. We're going to at least pull these manifolds off and get the aftermarket ones on and just see how they're angled and what I need to do to kind of get next steps moving. That's really all I have time to do today, so hang out for a second. Let's make this happen real quick, and we'll see what we can do. so the passenger side isn't on that well yet because I gotta take off this bracket for the dipstick, which isn't crazy. And it looks like it clear. The other thing you want to make sure of on this one is the starter down there. That's where the starter goes, and before the other one was actually aiming a little bit too close to that. So I do like the angle on this, however, it's touching the block. So I'm gonna have to play around with this a little more. I do like the angle. It's going where we want it to be able to come out. But it is kind of up against the block there, and we're just gonna have to play with it a little.
That's what she said.
So I played around with a few different things. I did pick up a set of block hugger headers and flipped them around every different way. I couldn't get those to work because they just wouldn't. They wouldn't fit in here. These are definitely tighter. I don't know if I can flip them around because of some of where the bracketry is that we have. I'm not sure that that's possible. So we're gonna have to play with this a little. The other side here, on the driver's side, I like the angle here too. There's no brackets in the way. However, it is aimed right towards where our slave cylinder is going to go. I don't know that that's exactly in the way. I've got a bracket for that as well, and it needs to be mounted. It's not crazy, but it's still, man, it's just tight. These are one of the hang-ups when you're doing something that's totally custom in a completely different project, is just the way things align and how everything fits in here. Again, I like where it's coming down. It's going to miss the links, the frame, and we want it to run straight to the back. It's going to come out pretty much right in front of the rear cross member there, underneath the floor, and that should be good. But man, I just don't know. It's real close. This is a little disappointing, having a new set of headers I was super stoked about, and they don't quite line up where I want them to. So it is what it is for right now. We're going to play around with that a little bit. That's really all I have time for today. I at least wanted to see where these were going to sit and start thinking about in my head when I come out here to just knock all this stuff out, how that's actually going to work. At this point, I just need to think about it a little bit. Probably need to come out and play around and see if turning them around, sending them forward, sending them up, if that's a possibility. The problem I see with that usually is where my brackets are. If I were to send them forward, some of the brackets for the alternator are in the way, and I just don't think that's doable. Who knows? In the long run, I may end up having to build something. I'm not positive. So we at least got them on here. It gives me an idea of what's going on. There may just need to be a little bit of grinding that goes on to clear that stuff. Maybe just a little bit of adjusting. Need to take off the bracket for the oil dipstick on the other side. It's also getting different heads, so I'm going to look a little bit. These are the 317 heads that come on the LQ4. I'm looking at a set of 799 heads, or we've got a set of 799 heads off of a 5.3 cathedral port. It's something that we're going to do a little bit of work on. I don't think the offset's different. I don't think that really changes anything. We'll have to see, but I think the heads and the exhaust ports themselves are in the same place. So I'll do a little bit of research. If any of you know, let me know. We want to get going on this thing though. There's a lot to come. I know that the action has been off and on this channel. We haven't done a whole lot of wheeling, or we haven't really done any wheeling yet. There was a lot of build progress that went on the WJ, and to be honest, I couldn't document absolutely everything I did, so I tried to talk you through in detail what I did, what I was thinking as I went, but that was a lot of work in a very short period of time, and we made it happen. So Now we're going to get to it on the Durango. We want to make this happen, and we want to get this thing done so there can be more action. All right, so that's a wrap for today. I wanted to give you an update, wanted to show you some of the stuff we got for the Durango, but super excited to get moving on this. As always, don't forget to comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. If you have advice, tips, tricks, things that you've done in the past, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I'm, just trying to figure this out as we go. As always, if you can, hit that thumbs up, like, subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.